me if I'd write her a song, so I wrote her a song for her awesome show. Her show is cool and it's lots of fun.
Hi,
so
welcome to the Awesome Master Show. Today is a really special day for me. It's a new building, as you can see. I love the new building. It's all handicap accessible. And it's my first show of the summer, which is great. And I'm interviewing Marc Filipinno, and how we got introduced together was he interviewed me for my show, the Awesome Master Show. So I asked him to come to see if I can interview him, so he can see how it is on the camera side. So hi, welcome to my show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
How are you today?
I am great. It's a beautiful day out and get to be
Yes,
here on the
I
Awesome
love
Master
summertime.
Show. Yeah, absolutely. Get to wear nice dresses and nice loose clothing.
I love summertime. When did you first start with the career?
I started earlier this year. I found out about the job in January of 2012. Came up, drove all the way from Boston for the interview, and I found out that same day that I would be starting February 13th. So if it will be a day, it'll be 5 months tomorrow.
Wow, that's
February.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What's exciting about your job?
Probably the same thing that's exciting about your job is that there's no 2 days are ever the same. You get to talk to a lot of different people.
Exactly.
You get to go different places, and you get to talk to different people about their experiences, and you really can't say that 2 days are ever the same in this job.
Now, do you have to go to school to be a writer, or do you just do it right off the bat?
Well, a lot of people do go to school to be a writer, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to. I personally did go to school for it. I graduated Boston University in 2011 for broadcast journalism, actually, and then I kind of just fell into the newspaper business last year.
See, this is kind of like, well, not really, but kind of like writing, but it's on TV instead, so this must be totally different for you. You must be really nervous, because I can tell when you walked in, you're like, I don't know what to do.
I've had some camera experience, but it's definitely not like riding a bike. You definitely do forget, and sometimes it just takes a little while to get back into it.
Yeah, because that's how I was when we met at Dunkin' Donuts. I was like, I'm not used to being just talking about it. I'm used to being in front of the camera, so I was like.
It's definitely intimidating being on the other side of an interview, because when you're interviewing someone, you usually hold all the cards and all the questions.
You're used to it. Yep.
So.
What's the? Do you have a recorder, or do you write it all down on?
I record everything.
And then you go back to it
And then I go back to it. So if we were having an interview, I would have a tape recorder on the desk, and I'd have a notepad that I'd be scribbling in as well, and that kind of keeps having physically writing down the notes help me remember things as well, and then I use the recorder for a reference later on.
But do you use your own words, or do you use the words do you put it in your own words, or?
Sometimes I'll paraphrase. So if I get a quote from someone that I think could be cleaned up, I'll paraphrase it, not to change the meaning, but sometimes a quote is so powerful that if you just use what the person gave you exactly the way they said it, it means so much more.
Because I noticed that in my article, because I think you put something about Nick Lachey or something about awesome or something that I always say to people, and they're like, that's something Ashley would say, So
Yeah.
They all loved it, and I hope everybody at the Courier loved it too.
They did, and they were very excited for me to come on the show today, actually, and you will probably be receiving some phone calls very soon about where they can see the show and where they can get a copy of the DVD.
Well, they just come to the studio, and we can make as many copies as they want, or They can come on the show too if they want.
Oh, I'm sure some of them will take up that opportunity. Some of them really like the camera stuff. So.
Yeah, and thank you for writing about Nick's walk too. That really meant a lot to me and Nick's family.
Not a problem. I'm glad that you've had success with it these last 2 years, and hopefully you can continue on.
It's actually my last year doing.
Really?
Doing.
Why is that?
I figured it's too much. They ask too much. They people just not a lot. I just don't feel like it's just a lot of work.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I just want to keep his memory alive. So I'm trying to think of other ways to because I definitely want to keep his memory alive.
Maybe a celebration or a party or
Yep.
something along those lines. That would be nice.
So, yeah, I think it was last year for his 20th birthday, because this year he turned 21, but last year we all went to his mom's house and had cake and ice cream and stuff. So
That must have been really great.
yeah, it was. So it was awesome. And did you see my pictures in the paper too? Those were in the paper too.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, I saw a couple. Molly had showed me. She said, "Oh, you know the Ashley that you had interviewed the other day. She's in there again." I said, "Oh, that's so nice."
So what's the hardest thing about being a reporter?
There's a lot of hours. I would say that I work anywhere between 50 to 60 hours a week.
Wow.
Between being in the office, fielding phone calls, actually going out and interviewing people, and then actually writing the pieces.
So do you do all your stuff out of the office, or do you have your own office?
So we have our own office. It's located at 1
So
York
everyone
Street.
has their own office.
Well, we're all in one. I don't have my own
Yep.
personal office within the building, but we all the writers are in one space. So I have a desk. There's a desk there, desk there, desk there, and we all write, and we bounce ideas off of each other, and we talk to each other. I tend to do a lot of my writing at home, or
Because it's probably more quieter. And
it's quieter, and I'm more comfortable there, and I can concentrate and work at my own pace.
I can see that.
Yeah, or a coffee shop. I'll go to Perk sometimes.
Now, do you get to pick all the stories that you get to do, or does your editor, or what do you call it, editor?
Yep.
You call it editor. So do they pick some of the stories, or do you get to pick most of them?
So actually today, Thursday, we have a staff meeting every week
Every Thursday?
where all the editors and reporters meet in an office, and we pitch story ideas. And I'll say, these are big stories that I want to cover, and my editors say, okay, but these are things that you need to cover as well. So if you can make time in between the things that you want to cover with the things that you have to cover, then that'll be all right. So it's kind of, you have to prioritize and figure out what's more important for the paper.
So my question is, and probably everyone that's watching it, is how did you find out about me? Why did you want to write about me?
So I keep track of Facebook and Twitter pretty closely. And when you liked our Facebook page, I clicked on it because I like to see who's interested in the Courier and who's reading us and why they're reading us, because a lot of people leave comments on our Facebook page. So I clicked on you, and I saw the picture of you and Monica Quimby, Miss Wheelchair Maine 2011. I started clicking through the profile, and I saw you, and I saw that you had a TV show. And I said, wow, that's pretty interesting. This would make for a pretty nice story. And then I tried hunting down Steve Poulos for about a week and a half before I actually got in touch with him, and he forwarded your contact information to me, and then we met at Dunkin' Donuts, I think, a week later.
So did you tell your editor do you have to tell your editor that you found a nice story, or do they just let you write about it?
No, you have to run everything by them first, and that way they know how many stories are going into the next week's paper, how many pages they'll be able to anticipate, because that, between that and advertising, you have to know how many pages are in each edition. So
You guys get do you get the first page and the other writer gets the second? How does that work? Do you just all put it all in different? Because I know when I read the Courier, you're always in the front and other people are in the back. So is there an order how it needs to go?
Usually the more hard news stuff goes in the front.
Okay.
Things that'll catch people's eyes and things that'll attract them to the paper. There's really no particular order. It's not like I get priority.
I just didn't know if they had a special order, saying this is your paper.
No, I'm the only staff reporter for the newspaper. We have a few freelancers and contributors, but for the most part, I turn out most of the stories, and just by sheer luck, I'll end up on the front page most of the time.
Yeah, because I saw you yesterday. I'm like, I'll do some research, on him before I do the interview tomorrow, which is today. And I read this really cool article you did about this little boy. I think his name was William.
Yes, William Palmer.
Can you tell the viewers what that story was about?
Well, William Palmer is a 7-year-old boy who received a money gift from his grandmother, who had passed away several years ago, and basically it was said in the letter, you can do whatever you want with this money. So he and his father agreed to put that money toward the summer baseball league he was participating in.
He must love baseball.
He loves baseball. He loves baseball. He's both a Red Sox and a Yankees fan, which I found was very interesting.
Because usually it's just, Red Sox.
Just one or the other. I asked him about it. He's like, well, if the Yankees don't do so well, then I'll root for the Red Sox. But because he had the most amount, he had the largest donation amount, he was able to choose his team name. And he decided to name the team the Saco Food Pantry Pirates after the Saco.
That. Yeah, I was amazed. I was like, out of all the names you get to pick.
Yep. And he did that because his grandmother had volunteered he was very
the food pantry?
At several food pantries throughout her life, and it was very important to her. So he did that in her memory.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, like we always remember our loved ones up in heaven. Like,
Absolutely.
Somehow or another. And I know Molly Keeley.
Yes.
Now, does she do the same thing that you do, or what does she do there?
So Molly is my editor. I'm a reporter, so I go out and I write the stories.
So she actually gets to pick what you...
Yep. So she actually writes a little bit for the paper. She has a weekly column. And then basically she she covers up all my mistakes. So she reads everything. She goes, you could word this better, or I need you to follow up and fact check this. She's basically to beat me with a stick whenever I needed to. So.
Yeah, I have her on Facebook too. So that's how you found out I put you on Facebook.
Yep. She had said she had said the weeks leading up to the show you were updating, and we're excited about it. And seeing your posts got me excited about it. So I started preparing a little bit. So.
Yeah, I have Twitter, but I don't use it as much as I do Facebook. I'm not a big Twitter fan.
I've found that I like Twitter, but
better than Facebook.
Yeah, probably better than Facebook because I get a lot of my news from Twitter. Like I follow the New York Times, and I follow the Boston Globe and things like that. And as far as a news source, I find Twitter to be much more efficient than Facebook.
Well, that's awesome, and I think you should do an article on my friend Monica Quimby, because she does a lot for people with disabilities. So I think that would give you an idea if you want to, if you want to take that idea.
Absolutely.
Great. And
she's in South Portland, correct?
Correct.
Right. So actually, my friend Jack, who started at the South Portland paper,
so he'd probably
be writing that. I'm sure he'd be very interested in it because he's new and he's a new reporter and he's kind of just getting his feet wet as well. So.
How long has he been doing it? Longer than you? Or?
No, actually, Jack and I went to college together, and he studied the same thing I did, broadcast journalism, and there was an opening up at the paper, and I said, Jack, I know you're interested in reporting and journalism. Why don't you put your application in? And I think that was sometime in May. And he got the job immediately, and he and I now live together, and we hang out.
So roommates.
Yeah, we're roommates and co-workers. So.
You must love that.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have someone that you work with at home, so you can run things by them. And.
Now, do you go on any of your stories? Do you go on like special adventures, like anything, like go for rides and stuff? Like.
Well, actually, I've encountered a few very interesting things since I've been here. One of them was. I took a ride along with a Saco police officer.
I noticed that in the paper. I just didn't know how to say it.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted you to say it, because I didn't.
He was nice enough to take me along I think it was an 8-hour shift.
Wow. So you had to go.
I was exhausted by the end of it, and that was nice. And then UNE, the University of New England, is actually contemplating doing a ferry service. To get people back and forth between campus, and I was on the inaugural ride, and me and Molly suited up at I think it was like 7:30.
Oh, so Molly went with you too?
She did, and she took pictures while I went across on the boat and back.
That's awesome.
It was a very nice experience.
She's really nice.
Yeah, she is. So those are some of the more exciting things about the job.
Yeah, like I said, I noticed that on the paper. I just didn't know how to word it correctly, so that's why I'm like.
Yeah, no, you triggered it just fine.
So, do you have any hard stories that you like? Do you ever have any hard times writing something?
Yes, I would say that one of the more difficult things to write about are budget stories. Just because there are a lot of numbers, it requires a very keen attention to detail, and if you mess one thing up, it could blow the article to smithereens. Because people read these things very closely, and they expect honest facts. And when they see something, they see a mistake, they're going to tell you about it. They're going to tell you about it right away.
Right. Like, I didn't realize how many people actually read the Courier until I was in the Courier. Because, like, all my friends on Facebook or my family members like, I saw you in the Courier. And I'm like, I didn't realize the Courier gets that, you know, that, I didn't realize a lot of people.
Our circulation is 22,000. And we anticipate that, you know, between 17 and 22,000 people read it a week.
Wow.
That's quite a bit of people.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you have any other writers besides you and Molly, or is that pretty much?
So we have, for the other papers we do, so Jack, who I'd mentioned, writes for the South Portland. Then we have our other reporter, Michael Kelly. He writes for the Scarborough Leader. Amber Carter writes for the Kennebunk Post. And then for the Courier, we have David Arenstam, who is a freelancer. He contributes 2 or 3 pieces a week, but he's also a full-time teacher at Thornton Academy. Molly's husband, Brian Keeley.
I know both of them.
Yep, Brian contributes to the paper as well.
I think he does a blog too.
He does. It's I think it's the B3 Keeley blog.
I think I don't really know what the blog's about, but I think isn't the blog for the paper, or?
The blog is actually not associated with the paper.
Because I was confused with that when I saw it on Facebook. I'm like, I saw a blog, but I didn't know if it was for the paper or he was just.
No, the blog is something that he writes for himself. It usually has to do with Biddeford-oriented things, but he just posted on the Facebook wall so people will see it.
Okay, I just wasn't sure about that. I'm like,
no.
I don't know if it's like, I don't know if he works there part time. I don't know.
Well, he actually contributes to the 52 blog, 52 column, which is he profiles a business every week. And that's actually affiliated with the paper.
Okay, so that is affiliated with the paper.
But the B3 blog, I don't think it could be something in the future.
Yeah. So how do you take pictures? I mean, do you have, like, when you write an article, do you take a picture of, like, do you have your own camera, or is it the?
So what we do is, and photography is not exactly one of my strong suits, is if there's a photo opportunity. You take the photo opportunity, because a photo opportunity will be gone. It's never coming back.
Yeah.
You can always take notes later,
but the photo will never come back.
The photo will never come back. And one of the things that Molly had actually taught me is, if you think you're close enough, get even closer. And because people want to see detail.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah, it's a very good strategy, because people, you know, if you're far away, people can't read the logo of a uniform that says Sacco Food Pantry on it, or they can't see the emotion on a person's face.
Right. And actually, you know, the picture you took of me is now my fan page for, like, my fan page picture for
really?
the Awesome Master Show, so that's what I use for my fan.
Well, I'm honored that I'm good enough of photography for you to notice.
And I remember, like, because remember we took it outside and it was like a rainy day.
Yeah, it was pretty cloudy, and it was overcast,
and so I'm like, let's take it here, and you're like, I don't want Dunkin' Donuts to show.
Well, I didn't know if there was if we would get in trouble for having the corporate logo in the background.
Right.
So I was like, well, let's go in front of the brick wall instead, and we'll keep it neutral.
So when you're writing a paper, is there any questions that you're not allowed to ask, or is there, like, questions that you ask before you do a paper on them? Like,
so sometimes people will request the questions in advance.
Right.
However, there are no questions that you can ask.
Right.
There are questions that you shouldn't ask, because if I ask something that offends a person, then they're less likely to answer the questions after it.
Right.
And if you want to keep the interview going, then you save the offensive questions for last, at least.
Because I know sometimes I do that with some of my shows. I'm like, is there any questions you don't want me to ask?
Yeah. And sometimes you have to ask tough questions, though, and that way you get the full story.
To get the real story out.
But I mean, things that are personal in nature, that don't have to do with the story that you're trying to chase. like if I were to ask a politician a personal question, I would feel all right if they came back to me and said, what does this have to do with the story? Because if it's not applicable to the story, why am I asking it?
I was really happy with the fact, because I know that you just wanted to do an article about the awesome astro, but I was really happy about the fact, because the walk was coming up, I wanted people to find out about it, and you had no idea what Nick's walk was, so I was kind of wondering how you would like put that all together in like one article. I was like, I don't know how he's gonna do that, but I'm really happy that he allowed me to put that in there, because it wasn't part of the awesome astro show. So
well, I mean, it was. I think that that article about you was less about the show and more about you and your role on the show.
Right.
And because you were so interested in Nick's walk, and obviously, you're a huge part of it, I don't think the article would have been complete unless I included it.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I was just wondering how you fit that all in there.
Yeah, sometimes it's tough, but I mean, when it's a profile piece like I did on you, it's easy.
Do you have any fun articles that you like to write about?
This is going to sound kind of nerdy, but I kind of do like the Merck things that are the main energy recovery company hearings that are going on right now. I think it's very interesting how emotional people are getting over it. I think that it's something that will change Biddeford forever, and I think it's something very important. And I think it's nice to be someone who's essentially recording Biddeford's history.
That's cool, and because I know from my perspective, I know when I'm excited about a show, I'm like really excited about it. Like for instance, like I was excited about today, so I wrote it on my fan page. I wrote it on my personal page. Yeah. So I know when you're excited about it, you get more energy for it, and to get all excited to write about it.
The thing is that as a reporter, I can't actually show in my articles that I'm excited about it, which is
so how do you cover that? Like, see, if I was a writer like you, I wouldn't be able to cover it.
Sometimes it's very frustrating. Sometimes you want to be able to convey how important this topic is to you, but you have to kind of push it down and let it subside, and then focus on what's important. Because if you show that you're more interested in certain topics over others, people will kind of question your objectivity. And if you're really paying more attention to certain topics because you're interested in them, and not doing enough work for the other ones.
Exactly.
So.
Because I know, like for instance, like when I did Monica Quimby, I was like so into it, like I was just so into it. And then when I do other shows, I'm not so into it. You know what I mean? Like for.
I hope I'm not one of them.
No. I was like the principal or what, that one was like the hardest one that I've ever had to do. Like that was just like so hard.
The difficult ones for you, I can imagine, are pretty exciting too, though, right?
Yes, exactly. Because I had him like I was booming out questions like left and right.
It's a challenge, and
it really is, because sometimes you can't get an answer out of him. Like it's just a yes or no. Like it's just a yes or no answer. So
people are very. I don't know. Sometimes they're tough to pull quotes out of. So.
Sometimes it's hard to do that. Like just you try to yank it out of them, but it just won't.
It just won't work.
So, is there anything else you want to tell the viewers, like how to contact you?
Yeah, sure. If anyone has any story tips, story ideas, have any general questions, you can always contact me at The Courier. My email address is news@inthecourier.com, or you can contact me on my work line, which is 282-4337, extension 213. And feel free to drop by 1 York Street anytime you're interested.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Well, I hope everybody enjoys the show. I know I did. I hope Mark did too.
I did.
And I was really excited to do this one. It was my first summer show. Actually, my first show in our new building. I love the new building. So, bye. See you later.
Ashley asked me if I'd write her a song, so I wrote her a song for her awesome show. Her show is cool and it's lots your popcorn ready. Everyone, who will she interview on her show today? The Jonas Brothers or Nick Lachey? It's the Awesome Ashley Show. The Awesome Ashley Show. The Awesome Ashley Show. La 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 la. Ashley asked me if I'd write her a song, so I wrote her a song